Hello friends, welcome to the daily answer writing practice. Today I have selected one question from the Indian Express. Okay, this question I have framed about the news of death of Mikhail Gorbachev. So there was an editorial in the Indian Express yesterday on death of Mikhail Gorbachev. Okay, so let us read this question. Why did Soviet Union collapse? How far Mikhail Gorbachev role was responsible for it? Okay, so this is a 15 marks question, 250 words, okay, which you have to write in 10 to 12 minutes, which you write in 10 to 12 minutes max. Okay, so let us try to see how can we approach this question. Okay, so as I have told you always that when you start answering any question, if you can connect to current affairs, okay, you will get more marks. The introduction, if you can connect to current affairs, that will tell the examiner that you are following current events very sincerely, and that gives a very good impression. Okay, and you also tell the examiner that you know why this question has been asked. Okay, so this question will be from GS paper 1 world history. So this question is very important for this year's mains and for next year's mains, because suppose this year question paper is already framed, so this question can come in next year's mains 2023. So people who are preparing for 2023, please prepare this topic of collapse of Soviet Union, very important topic. Okay, so let us try to write a model answer for this. So I am doing it live in front of you. I will try to write an answer within the 12 minutes. Okay, so let us see. First I have told you that we can say that recently Mikhail Gorbachev passed away. Many argue that his reforms were the main reason for collapse of Soviet Union. Okay, so we'll start with the context that recently Mikhail Gorbachev passed away, and many argue that his reforms were the main reasons for the collapse of Soviet Union. Okay, however, what you will write that however his reforms, okay, were just the trigger. There were already many reasons simmering for at least 2 decades. This is the introduction. Then you will write, change the paragraph, reasons for the failure of Soviet Union. Okay, here you can write SU so that next time you can just write a short form. So first reason is basically reforms, which I told you. First reason, reforms introduced by Mikhail Gorbachev. This reform you can say glasnost, which basically meant openness in political field, and perestroika, which meant economic restructuring introduced by Mikhail led to people starting protesting against the Soviet regime. So the reforms which were introduced by Gorbachev, which was basically glasnost, which was the openness in the political field, and perestroika, which was the economic restructuring introduced by Mikhail Gorbachev, okay, led to people starting protesting against the Soviet Union. Okay, so this was the trigger. However, there are many other reasons also. The next reasons were basically what? So the next reason was the Politburo related. So you see, after the death of Lenin, okay, most of the Politburo members were not true to the ideology of Soviet Union. They started living a luxurious life, and people started to revolt against this inequality. Further, many leaders after here death of Stalin, after the death of Stalin, not Lenin, because first came Lenin, then Stalin. Okay, so after the death of Stalin, most of the Politburos were okay. So it will be Stalin. So many leaders, okay, after the death of Stalin, were of the opinion of better relation with West. Okay. Third reason was basically economic reasons. See, the Soviet economy was not doing good. Most of the resources were deviated towards military expenditure, leading to shortage of essential goods. This economic plight created unrest among the masses. Next, what you can say is that, okay, West, see, USA after, okay, election of Reagan became more hostile towards Soviet Union and wanted it to collapse. So it was the Reagan's policy also which was like one of the main factors for the collapse of Soviet Union. And last but not the least was the national movement, nationalist movement. So you all know that Soviet Union was basically a group of 15 other nations also. So you can say that because of the discriminatory policies of Russia, many protests started in 15 republics which were part of Soviet Union. These protests became more vigorous after the reforms introduced by Mikhail Gorbachev. See, previously also there were a lot of protests in these countries, but what used to happen was the Russian used to send its army and used to quell those kinds of protests. But after Mikhail Gorbachev became the president, so he did not had an offensive approach towards this nationalist movement. That was the main reason why the Soviet Union started disintegrating. So this protest led to disintegration of Soviet Union as many communist regime in these 15 nations were removed by popular protest. So see, in the introduction only we have told that the second part of the question, how far Mikhail Gorbachev's role was responsible for it. So in the introduction only we have said that Mikhail Gorbachev's reform were just a trigger, So we have answered to a great extent the second part. See how we have connected both of the parts in the introduction only. See, many people what they do is that they treat the both parts separately. So don't treat the both parts separately, because there will be no organic link between the first part and the second part. See how beautifully I have linked the first part and the second part in the introduction only. So as far as when you write the second part, you have already told in the introduction only. So what you will say here, what you will say that when you will start answering the second part, you can say that the reforms introduced by Mikhail Gorbachev was responsible only to the extent that he did not quell the protest which were already taking place in Soviet Union against its regime. Gorbachev never wanted disintegration of Soviet Union. he never thought that the protests would become uncontrollable. The reasons for protest were already there, and Gorbachev was not responsible for those conditions. However, he, by giving the freedom to people, hastened the process of disintegration of Soviet Union. You can say that without him also Soviet Union would have disintegrated, but it would have taken another 20-25 years for it. He only hastened it. So he was not the sole responsible, he just basically hastened, means he quickened, he brought the disintegration quickly. Okay, he was not basically planning for it. Okay, so this is the answer. This is the answer. You see here how we have basically we have linked the both the parts, okay, in the very first beginning, and then what we have done is that we have given one heading, okay, reasons for protest of Soviet Union, then the first reason, then the second reason, okay, then the third reason, then the fourth reason, then the fifth reason. Here for the economic reasons you can also quote the Afghan war, okay, and the losses. Okay, next nationalist movements is very important, and you have to link. See why I have put nationalist movement at the end, because nationalist movement could happen because of Gorbachev's policy, because before also nationalist movements were happening, but Soviet Union used to send their army and used to quell the protest. But when Mikhail Gorbachev came to the power, he did not quell those protests, and that is why those protests became uncontrollable and the communist regimes in these countries were overthrown. Okay, so you see how I have connected this to the second part of the answer organically. See, organically, many students, okay, they get less marks in the UPSC because there is no connection, between two parts of the question. Okay, there is no connection between two parts of the question. That is the reason they get very less marks. If you see some of the toppers, okay, with very less knowledge, okay, they get rank 1, rank 2. Okay, how? The reason is their answers are very logical. They have sequenced their points very logically. Okay, if suppose in place of I starting with these reforms, okay, if I would have started with this point, okay, then those points would not have been logically placed. So you have to place the points very logically, then only your answer will become better answers, and it will fetch very high marks. So I can tell, see, introduction you can get 2 marks, then you see 5 points you have written here. Okay, so easily you can assume to be like you can get 8 to 10 marks here, and then how far Gorbachev was responsible, you can get easily 3 marks here. Okay, so you can easily get, see, out of 15 you can easily get 12 marks. Okay, easily, because 2 marks for each point you will get. Okay, so this is how you have to write the answers. If you like this answer writing approach, okay, please hit the like button, please subscribe the channel, and also, okay, what you can do is that, see, for the static content, what you need to do is either you read the NCRTs and make your notes, or you can refer the mains master notes. Okay, I have already prepared notes for these topics, okay, which will help you to get the static knowledge. Okay, thank you friends, bye bye, take care.